Okay, we're over here at the table, and just for learning purposes, I did not include an HQ unit in either one of these units, just to give you guys a heads up. It's 2 squads of Americans facing off against 2 squads of Fallschirmjäger Germans. As you can see over there, I'll pan up here, we got some Germans there in the house, protecting at the wall there, two fire teams. That's 1 squad there. And off to your right, there's another squad of Fallschirmjäger. One in the open there a little bit. The other one is taking cover, which is bad for them. Why would they do that? They dropped in. And the Americans have a nice defensive position heading off the Fallschirmjäger from advancing. So what we have here is 2 complete squads for each side. There's 1 die for each leader. Now for the Americans, they have a platoon leader and an assistant platoon leader for each squad. And each leader gets a command die. Same for the Germans. Each command gets a die. 2 separate fire teams in each unit. So what this means that everyone is going to get a die next to the leader. And the first thing we do at the start of a turn before we draw a single card is we need to roll each and every single one of these dice. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up, the Americans would obviously pick up their command dice, 1 for each leader. And the makeup of these squads, there is a download PDF on Buckserda's website that has the makeup of each squad. What I have here is basically the platoon leader with a BAR team and 2 riflemen, an assistant platoon leader with 5 riflemen in the American side. On the German side, we have a platoon leader with a MG4, I think that's a MG42 light machine gun. Basically a machine gun team and a rifleman, and then a assistant platoon leader with 4, I believe that's, yes, 4 riflemen. So they're 2 fire teams, but they're the same squad. But this gets broken up in fire team leaders, platoon leader and assistant platoon leader. So the Americans are going to pick up all their dice, and for this unit, they're going to roll a die. That's a 6. So this 6 stays with that unit. Then this next fire team down here rolls a die, 5. Next over here, a 1. And this next team over here, it's a 2. So the Germans do the same thing, and they have already done it. Over here we got a 5, a 3, a 4, and a 2. This last one over here. So what that means, everybody's rolled, and now we know what number they activate on out of the activation deck. So we're going to give this a good shuffle. Here we go. All right, good shuffle. Not looking at it. Good shuffle. Here we go. So the very first thing, you put the red cards, the black cards, and the re-roll and reshuffle card in there. You can also include the green card or the elite card in there as well, if you want. But for the basic learning purposes, I'd leave those out for now and add them later. So the first card we draw is a 1, which means that anyone on the table with a 1 can activate when this card is drawn. So the only thing we have is this rifle team for the Americans right here off to the left. So they can do one of several things. Each individual man can do something. They can either move, shoot, throw a grenade, recover from stun, or reload their weapon. So currently right now it's just the beginning, so they're just going to move. So when you make a move, you have to draw a card. So the Americans are going to have this deck, and the Germans are going to have this deck right here. So we're going to pull a card, top card off the deck for the Americans, and they are regulars. How do I know this, you ask? Well, I know they're regulars because I made up some sheets for them. You check their guts rating, which is regulars. So because they're regulars, they're going to move 4 inches. So put that into a discard pile. They'll move 4 inches. Oops, I knew I was going to do that today. Sorry about that. So we're going to move them 4 inches in the direction. I think I want to get them in cover. So now, not all these guys have to move those 4 inches. And they can move up to 4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and move them all as much as I can 4 inches. You could have a couple guys stay back behind if you want, which I don't know why you would. We're just going to move them up. Okay, and that's it. So there are no other ones on the board. So guess what we do? We draw this next activation card. So next activation card is a 4. So what that means, anyone on the board with a 4 can activate. And once again, we only have one unit, and that's this unit behind the wall. Now that unit sees a nice juicy target right over here. He's going to fire. That's what he's going to do. So he announces that he's going to fire in this general area. So this area that he's saying he's firing in, he's got a frontage. You check his frontage. You're not doing a unit, you're doing an area. So his frontage is 5 inches. So they're firing at an area of 7.5 inches wide by 4 inches deep. So they're just barely going to catch this one fellow over here and this fire team here, which means because they're firing in an area, they can hit anything in that general area because it's all done randomly. But we were going to count this guy, this man here, out of this other fire team in this fire when we're calculating fire. So in combat patrol, each individual man's going to fire separately. So the way we do this, if you're the firer, you go from left to right. So facing the opposite direction there. He'll go left to right firing, and who gets wounded goes from left to right from the firer. So it'll start over here going that direction. So we'll see if it hits. So the first man is firing over there, another unit. He is a regular because his accuracy score, which is the second number here, is a regular. So we find a little R right here, and then we consider modifiers. Is the target moving? No, he's not. Is there no leader present in that unit that's firing? There is. Or is the man wounded? No, he's not. Is he at medium range? Now that's something we have to consider. So this is just a regular rifle team, so they have all rifles. So they're going to have a bolt action rifle. So medium range is between 12 and 24 inches. So we're going to measure that out. So he is exactly 12 inches, just shy of 12 inches. So they are going to be in medium range. So what that means, this little flip here, this little arrow means we go from one slot over as the modifier. Now, if he was at long range, it would go 1, 2 bullets. So as we know, if there's a bullet there, not a blank, that means that's a hit. So that first fire hits somebody. Let's find out what happens. So you draw the next card. The 5th man is wounded in the leg. Doesn't matter where they're wounded for this basic scenario, but the 5th man is wounded. So how do we calculate? How do we find that 5th man? Well, that 5th man, by moving the tree, we're going to count from left to right from the firer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next man over would be this man, furthest over, 5. So this man takes a wound. So how do we calculate wounds? We put a die down. So he's going to take 1 wound to this fire team. And since this is the fire team that just got hit, their leader is going to get a morale marker. Every time you're hit, you're going to get a morale marker. Now there is one factor that we have to consider. This down here. This is cover. They're behind a brick wall, sandbags, right? Or some sort of barrier. So that means instead of him being wounded, he's going to go down a level and just be stunned. So we're going to take away that wound marker. He's just stunned. So he didn't take a wound. That's better because if he gets 3 wounds, he's dead. He's incapacitated. So being stunned when he activates, before he activates, all he can do when he activates is just remove the stun. So that's all that happens because of that cover that's sitting on the card. Other covers, examples, inside of a house, in a trench, behind a bunker. They have in the woods. But this works. Sandbags is kind of like this one right here. Now, if there was nothing here, that means he would not benefit from the cover and he would take the wound. So, next guy's going to fire. So the second guy from the left, he pulls this card And as you remember, it's medium range, so it's regular. That's a miss. So that guy misses. So the third guy fires. Pull the card. Oh no, the third guy is out of ammunition. Now, what happens with out of ammunition is you put a marker notating that he's out of ammunition. I just use a stun marker because the only action that the third man can take on his turn would be to remove a stun marker or reload his weapon. So the fourth guy is going to fire. We're going to flip the card. Regulars, we know it's medium range, so guess what? That's a miss. So we're going to go the fifth man. Oh, he missed as well from the looks of it. So all of them have fired their weapons. So that means that whoever had the 4 is finished with his turn. So that means that nobody else has a 4. We're going to draw the next activation card. So here it goes. Next activation card is a 6. It's a red 6. That doesn't really mean anything. It just means that there's a black 6 and a red 6. So everybody with a 6. So we just have this unit up here with a 6, this rifle team here. So they're going to activate this turn. They're not going to move. They do have a BAR in their unit, which is nice. So their BAR, if I can find it here, is got a longer range. I know it's in here. BAR, it has, oh, it's just same as the rifles. It just has a +1 penetration. So, okay. That'll work. So we're going to take this unit here, and they're going to fire on that open ground Fallschirmjäger sitting over here. So what they're going to do is they're going to take their cards, and starting from left to right, they're all going to fire. Now this man right here has a BAR right here, and he's the assistant, the ammo carrier, but he has a rifle he can fire. And the leader has just a regular M1 carbines, all these guys have. Now the carbines have a shorter range of 16 inches, so we have to measure that out. The BAR works like the Fallschirmjäger. It looks like they are 11 inches away. So they're in medium range, 8 to 16 inches, so anything over 16 inches would be long range. So the BAR is in short range. No, they're in medium range. Oh, long range. The carbines are in long range. So we're going to fire with the first man there with the rifle. He's in long range. If you do remember, they are regulars. So he's going to move over 2 because he's in long range right there. So 1, 2. That means he still hit. It's good for the Americans. Who did he hit? He hit the fifth man. And there's no cover because they're out in the open. So the fifth man's going to take a wound. So we're going to count from the fifth man over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this man right here is going to take a wound. And their leader's going to take a morale marker. So the next man is going to fire. So we draw this. Here we go. Long range. I believe it's a rifle as well. Yes, the next man's in an M1 carbine, so it's going to be long range, so it's going to go over 2, and he still hits. Can you believe that? And with the next card, the first man's going to take a wound. So the first man, which from the last man that was injured, 1 is their leader. So their leader is going to take a wound, and he's going to get a second morale marker. I'll show you what the morale markers do here in a minute. Here we go. Oh, the next man fired. So this would be the third man. He's got a rifle as well. It's going to be long range. He still hits. That's unbelievable. He hits the fifth man, and the fifth man is incapacitated. And incapacitated means that they're pretty much down and out. They're gone because they have an endurance in 3. If they're incapacitated, that means they have 3. They take away 3 endurance, which means they are dead. So that would mean the fifth person from the last person. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's not good. They have a leader down. And there's going to be another morale marker on that unit. And he is down. So the leader has been taken out by gunfire. Now the BAR is in medium range. So this will be a little bit different. So he only goes over 1. So he hits. Boy, this is some devastating fire. And the second man is wounded from the last person injured or incapacitated. So the second man would be 1, 2. So this man here is going to take a wound and another morale marker. That's their 4th morale marker. Wow. Actually, it would be this area, so I should have been counting these guys over here, to be honest with you. So I apologize for that. I should have been counting these guys in over here. We'll do that from now on. We'll go 5th man from this guy. We'll fix it up. So he has 1 wound still. He's going to get 4 after this. Oh, shoot. So 4 here. Because they have this frontage, and this frontage was going to cover this right here, 4 inches deep, no problem. So from this man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. They can see everybody. So this team over here, which I'll move the camera so you can see, this team over here is going to take a morale marker, and they're going to take a wound on the 5th man from that man right there, which will be this guy behind the tree here. So he'll have a wound. So next man firing, that was the BAR. Next man firing is here. He's going to draw a card, and he is in long range, so he misses. Finally, somebody misses. Last man out, he misses as well. He's in long range. So that was a lot of cards drawn, a lot of damage done to this field over here. Oh, this 5th man was incapacitated, wasn't he? That's right. So we have 1 man down in that team, and no men down on this side. That was the number 6. So we're going to move on to the next card in the activation deck. Because this unit here is finished firing upon this unit. So as you can see, we got some morale markers out there that are going to have to be taken care of here pretty soon. So I think I see 1, 2. So when they get activated, they're actually going to have to deal with those particular morale markers. So the next card drawn is a 5. So everyone on the table with a 5, which I see 1 unit here, right down here, 1 unit here with the morale marker. That's good. We can find out what is done there. And these 2 units are the only ones. Now, as you may notice, there's 2 teams. Who goes first? This team back here or this team up here? That is going to be a random roll, and we do that with cards. So we're going to take 1 from the German side, 1 from the American side, or no, it's American side, German side. And we're going to look at this number here. Whoever has the highest roll on this D10 here gets to go first. So that'd be the Americans. So let's go to discard pile. So we will activate this team down here first. And let's see, they will, I think these guys here are going to move up into position this way. So we'll draw a card for their movement. They're regulars, so they move 7 inches, so they get there very easily. Where'd my tape measure go? There we go. Oh yeah, they're going to get there very easily. So we're going to get up in this position. Only the front men will be able to fire, which is fine. So we're going to get them up here. We're going to kind of group them together. 7 inches. No big deal. So they activated. They all moved, so none of them are going to be firing. So the dice moves with them. Now, this unit over here has, they activate on a 5. They have a morale that they have to solve, or resolve. So you draw the top card off their deck, and at the very bottom, it says what you do with the morale. This one says, no sweat, unit is unaffected. Elite units remove all remaining morale pips. So they're just unaffected, and nothing happens there. So we'll take away their morale marker, and they now get to activate and do what they want. Just to give you another example, I'll draw cards off the bottom of the deck. Just to some of the other things, this is here, what do we do now, Sarge? The unit dithers, all soldiers are stunned. There's another one here. If they're in the open, they're unaffected. If they're in cover, is unaffected. Elite units remove all remaining morale pips. So as you can see, it tells you who it affects and whether they're in the open or in the cover or just have one simple thing that they do, and it's all on the bottom of the cards. So you just draw a card for each pip. So these guys, they activate on a 3. So if they're gonna draw 4 separate cards and do what 4 separate cards do because of that morale there. So that's kind of an example of what happens. So we'll run through one more round of shooting with these guys right here, and then we can conclude. This kind of gives you a taste and a flavor for how the game plays, and I hope you liked it. So here we go. We're going to shoot with this Fallschirmjäger because they didn't like what these guys did to them. And they killed one of their men. They were a little upset about it. So they're going to fire upon this unit behind cover. Now they are behind just some shrubs or a wooden barricade with shrubs and stuff like that, and they can see over. So they are going to fire in this area. So their frontage is not that big. So their frontage is, let's see, that would be 5 inches. So it's going to be 7.5. So that really just covers this front unit right here, 4 inches deep. It will not hit this unit, so we'll go ahead and draw cards for that. So German fire. The far left one, we start with him, and he's a regular. We got to find out how far away he is, and they just have bolt action rifles. So we're going to measure here. That's just at 12 inches, so they're at medium range. So with this card, we're going to move over 1 from the regular, and he missed. So the second man in the unit, he missed as well. Third man firing, he missed as well. That's not a very good German firing. Oh, and the last guy, he's out of ammo. So we'll take one of these markers, and the leader is out of ammo. Out of ammunition. So you can kind of see how it works between both sides, whether they're going to fire, whether or not. You could actually send up a couple guys up front and fire with them if you want on the next turn. You can split them up. You pretty much can do, every man's an individual in this game. And it's pretty unique, and I like it very much. I hope this helped you see how movement and firing and the tactics could possibly work. We're just going to go over a couple quick other things, and I will conclude my review with that. You can also do simple things like throwing hand grenades, and it works just like firing a weapon. If it didn't hit on target, there is a bayonet here. The bayonet will tell you which direction it goes off target, and if it's a regular, it'll go 3 inches, or if it's, short, medium, it'll go 3 inches. It'll veer off 3 inches to the right. So you would put that between you and an enemy in front of you, and it would go to the right, that many inches on top. That's just another simple thing that you can do in this game, is throw grenades. Melee works much like the rules for firing, with the exception that you'll both draw a card in hand-to-hand combat. And you'll look at this 10-sided die. That will be your base number in hand-to-hand combat. So it's a 5. Now, if you'll do this individually. So one man fights one man. So let's say this first man right here is in hand-to-hand combat. He got a 5. You're -1 if you're stunned, -1 if you're wounded. +2 if you outnumber the enemy, like you have 2 guys on 1, depending on your strengths. +3 if you're defending cover. So if you have cover and you're defending that cover on the other side of an obstacle, that modifier will add to this die roll that you randomly drew. So right now it's just a 5. Now you add to your hand value for your weapon that you have, and your melee attribute value that's on your current record sheet. And that becomes the total number, and whoever has the highest number is the winner of that combat. And the winner of that combat will, let's see, the side with the higher modified melee value is declared the winner and draws 1 card for the action deck to determine the damage inflicted on the losing figure. So regardless of the number of figures involved in the melee, only 1 card is drawn, and only 1 figure takes damage. And the remaining figures will be, the losing side, the remaining figures will be pushed back 2 inches. So it's pretty simple rules. If you have any other questions, you can always leave them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. I appreciate you sticking with me on this review of the game Combat Patrol by Buck Surdaw. It's a World War II skirmish game. I really like it a lot. In my opinion, it's probably one of the most fun World War II games I've ever played, and that's saying a lot. I really enjoy it. It's really fast-paced. Once you kind of get the symbols on the cards itself, you can get a real feel and an idea of how everything works. So, a look and a feel of it once you learn the symbology on the cards itself. and it moves really, really fast. I think my son and I played a scenario with 2 platoons just like this, and it took us an hour. So it's really, really fast. I can tell you this unit back here with the 4 morale, that 4 cards he has to draw, these guys could move 10 inches towards the enemy. They could be taken off the table. They could run away to the nearest cover. Random card draw, you never know. These guys could be split all over the place. And there is a rule for a leader radius, or radii. How close they are to the leader, they need to get back to the leader and form up as a group, you know. So, but, you know, there's further rules in there. Well, I really like this game. I really enjoy it. It's a 10 out of 10 for sure. If you're on the fence, you're hovering over the button to buy it, just get it. You will enjoy it. And I hope this example helped you out quite a bit to see how exactly it works. So I was pretty excited to get it out and show everybody this review. So that concludes my review. Thank you very much for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'd really appreciate it. Please tell a friend. Like this video. Leave me some comments with questions. And also, if there's somebody out there who knows that game and I made any kind of mistakes in this presentation, please correct me. I really appreciate that if you correct me in the comments. I think I did okay. I think I didn't screw up too much except for this over here where this guy was behind cover and he went down to wounded instead of incapacitated. I originally had it right, but it doesn't matter. But last but not least, from me to you, ta-ta, and have a good night.